What's up, guys? Just waiting on a few more people. Get going here in a sec. What's up, guys? We're going to get started here. A couple hours left in the day. This is actually my first time today opening up some of these charts. Well, today is the first time I've got to get back into trading since last week. It's been really hectic. But we're back up, and we'll be firing on all cylinders this week. Yeah, we're doing the DVD. Yeah, we're doing, like, you know, a boot camp in November here. But my one priority is still trading, which is good for you guys. We'll still be trading every day. So, you know, that's kind of a side gig right now. We're just going to, the only thing I really want to do is trade. Like, I don't really want to be an educator for a living, because I like trading too much. So I'm not going to take up too much time. Let's see here. Let's get straight into the day. This is first thing I actually want to talk about is let's get to the charts. Let's see here. Okay, so we got Himini. It was a big runner this morning. You know, it went from 6 to 18 cents. And the news, I mean, is whatever. Everything's a pump at this point, but they launched new pricing plan built for the mass consumer, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? This thing is the biggest dog of the year. You know, very Dries-like. And this last reverse split and murder was just crazy. I mean, 15 bucks to 9 cents in less than 2 weeks. But we did get a bounce today to 18 and then a violent pull. You know, I mean, very violent. Over a 50% pull there. Gave up everything. And now it's kind of just trading in this range between 8 and 10 cents. Only play I see is basically risking 8 cents. You know, mid sevens at the max. But this is one of those things where I just don't like anything about it. You know, I don't like the fact that there's shares being dumped on you. I don't like the fact that it can't reclaim VWAP. I don't like anything about this stock. So, you know, I had been tempted to just kind of maybe try to scalp around 8 cents, but which you would have had a decent percentage gain if you sold it at 10 cents. But it's just one of those things that feels more like a gamble, you know. So I really don't like the feeling when I'm gambling. That being said, there are levels setting up, that you can play off of, and I love super cheap stocks like this when we have listed stocks trading down here with massive volume. It can still move. So I mean, this thing has done massive volume today. It's done 365,000 in volume and 36.4 million in dollar volume, which is mind blowing. I mean, this is just pretty mad. So Himini, yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of feeling I get when Dries is moving. Like, do I feel like going to the casino today, or am I trying to be a trader? It's one of those things. At the same time, I'm not going to ignore it if this thing is capable of moving. Something will have to change my mind. I don't know what it is at this point. So I'm just super careful on plays like this. Yeah, it's at 9 cents. How much further can it go down? I mean, 9 cents, but it's just one of those things that if it goes from 9 to 4 cents, you've lost 50% of your investment if you were holding it. So that's my take on Himini. I am watching it more for amusement, It's one of those, this is a situation that I don't like. I don't want to be the guy trying to hunt a bargain down here only to lose another 50%. That's totally rook. So yeah, if you caught a bounce today, that's sweet. This morning pattern on the bounce was actually awesome. You get the spike out of the gate, and then some higher lows holding VWAP, grinding up back towards high day this morning. I mean, that's sweet. This was money this morning. Granted, you definitely wanted to sell into the parabolic, obviously in hindsight, because it did get murdered. But I'll keep an eye on it. Other plays today, CHKE. I know Mike played it midday unsuccessfully because it's midday, and a lot of times when you trade midday, it's going to be unsuccessful. But lesson learned, totally lesson learned again. And anytime you lose midday, you just need to say, hey, it's midday. It's got to reinforce the fact that you really have to take off. You really got to be careful midday. And this is something that I've been so much better at. And this kind of move here is kind of where I used to look to get in, kind of midday, grinding up, kind of ABCD, and I could basically risk off low a day. And sometimes that's in play. But, recently, for the last couple weeks, especially since things have been dead, even the last month or so, all this midday stuff is nonsense. You don't really want to pay too much attention to it. Are you in Iceland, Mike? You're not. I hope you're not in Iceland. Anyways, yeah, I mean, this is one of those patterns that looks like an ABCD setting up, gets stuffed and dies, especially this perk through VWAP, which we have had several times. MYND last week had this exact kind of same pattern going on. Even SSLJ earlier in the week. Like, this hasn't been working. A lot of these have just been getting stuffed at high day. So this is just the intraday on CHKE. The news on CHKE was that they did some debt refinancing. To me, it's not a great catalyst. I mean, I have seen debt refinancings move stocks. But for me, it's not one of my favorite catalysts. I just don't, it kind of just in my eyes, for the most part, reinforces that there is debt in the first place in a lot of it. So, I mean, yes, it's a good thing for the company. Yes, there's, they have some liquidity in which to operate with, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's just not a catalyst that excites me. Especially on a chart like CHKE when you go to the daily chart. Daily chart, you can see all this resistance in the ones here, in the low ones especially, with volume on this day, a little bit of volume on this day. Earnings, brought it down. It's just one of those stocks where there's going to be a lot of overhead resistance at 1. Now that's for now. Can this set up and break out over 1? Like, absolutely. Maybe go to $1.50 or $2 eventually? Absolutely. I'm not saying it can't. You know, one PR can change things at any time. But for me, this isn't a chart that gets me all excited, you know, and googly inside. Plus, the float is a little bit bigger. It's over 10 mil. So, you know, this is the kind of thing. CHKE, it's done what, 12.9 volume today. That's decent volume. It's really good volume for this stock in particular, you know. But now this is just setting up to me as heavy resistance at 1 with this 13 mil traded today. You know, if this thing can't get popping back towards high day and break out over 1, it's likely going to set some pretty firm 1 resistance that will need quite a bit of volume and or good PR or good earnings or whatever else it is to break through. So that's why I said earlier on Discord that CHKE is like a dead fish to me. Even with all this, I didn't care. Like, I did see it perking up, but I really don't care. There's still overhead resistance here. So even if the intraday chart was setting up 90 cents, it really doesn't matter when you have this kind of daily chart resistance overhead. The fact that it's a debt restructuring, not, you know, like great earnings or something else that might propel this for multiple days. And now it's going to set up for more resistance at 1. So you got 1 resistance now, you got 120 resistance, you got 130 resistance, whatever it is from the runs in the weeks prior. And going into the last 2 hours, this isn't looking great, you know. It's not looking great at all. That being said, still got to be nimble, still got to watch this if it does start popping the next couple days or if they release some sort of other PR. But for me, dead. So CHKE I can ignore. You guys can understand why. Now, when we do filings, okay, this is not something where I even look at the filings. I don't have to, okay? Some people might, but for me, if I'm not playing it long, I don't need to worry about it. This is just strictly a chart setup. I don't care for it. Now, say this kind of consolidates and gives me some other reason to look at it long, then yeah, absolutely, we'll go through the filings on this one. But for me, this isn't a scenario where I need to. Very simple. The next one I was looking at was PTGX. And this was actually a really, really good intraday chart. I think it's making new highs right now. Missing it. So we got a gap fill scenario here, okay? 20 to 10. Obviously something happened here. This is a biotech, so I'm assuming one of 2 things. Offering or some sort of bad phase news. Those are the 2 kind of things that might, you know, allow this to occur. I'm not sure yet, so we'll kind of go through it. Here's my process. Like, okay, we got to find out what's going on here in this gap. So I need to see what happened in March that made this gap down. And so we'll go here. Let's see. So for me, it's as simple as going to OTC markets. You can use whatever website you want to check out filings and whatnot. We go to PTGX, okay? Now I'm going to go to disclosure. And any of you in the challenge who have seen Gritani go through filings, mine's very similar. There's not much different to it. So first thing I want to find out is, okay, what happened here? This was the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th of March. So quickly, we'll go to disclosures, and I'm going to go to March. Let's see here. See what caused this, because there will be some sort. Here it is. There will be some sort of explanation. Here's an 8K from the 26th. Announced discontinuing phase 2B Propel. Okay, boom. There it is. Really simple. And that's what I do. That's the quick process to find out what happened. Anytime there's an event on a chart like this, whoops, sorry guys. Let me redo that for you. So OTC markets, PTGX, disclosures, that will get me to the filings. This is where I look at filings. And then we're going to go to March. So we're going to go to March, right down here. 26th, here's an 8K. Anytime something like this happens and they put out material information, it's an 8K. Unless it is a foreign company, then it's a 6K. So we'll hit this 8K real quick. And you can see right here, Protagonist Therapeutics announced discontinuing phase 2 investigational oral GI restricted alpha beta blah 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 peptide in patients with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis. So this was basically a failure of their ulcerative colitis study that they were doing, and the trials that they were in. So phase 2B, that means they were a decent ways into it. But that's it. That's all I want to know. So I do know at least that this is not an offering that's causing this gap down. Okay, so that's what, so we have now found out what happened here in this gap. Right? They discontinued phase 2 of their ulcerative colitis drug. Now we're in gap up territory. You know, we are in gap up territory. This could have a day 2. $10 was resistance. We're holding 11. This interests me. Let's get back to the filings. So here's the 8K for today. Conference call. Blah, blah, blah. I am not going to go through this because I'm not even qualified to tell you what this means. And this is why when we have people like going through this stuff and like talking about it, like early on, I would kind of look through these things, but I really don't care. Like, what's the price doing? Is this going to get me going? I don't know. I've looked through so many of these and tried to find anything, and I'm fancying myself pretty, you know, intelligent, but it's just one of those things that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. There's a lot of this stuff that I don't understand. So I leave it alone. But I do know that there is something propelling this today. Blah, 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 final results. So the news. The news on PTGX. Announced results from reanalysis of the phase 2 Propel study. Okay, so now I know that we are talking about the same exact drug. Okay. Let's see, reanalysis of the phase 2 Propel study, and for ulcerative colitis. So the gap down we know was the drug. Now they're saying that they've reanalysis. No safety concerns, data from blinded endoscopy rereads and comprehensive data, signals of clinical efficacy and support further development. Okay, so now they're saying, hey, maybe that we do have something on reanalysis. The discontinuation was unfortunate based upon blah 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 patient oral drug. We look forward to meeting with the FDA to discuss next steps and plan to present the Propel data. Okay, so now they're saying. Hold on. The most recent financing of $22 million enables us to continue further. Okay. So they also mentioned a financing. So I do want to know about that. And that was today too. So they secured a $22 million financing. I'm just on equity feed going through the news right now. Sorry, guys. I haven't actually gone through these yet, so. And meanwhile, let's put Himini on for fun because it's amusing. Could get interesting, Himini. Today, PTGX also said that they signed a securities purchase agreement for the sale of 2.75 million shares of common stock, 5-year warrants to purchase at $10 a share, and 1.375 shares of common stock at $15 per share, expected to close on August 8th. Okay. So that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, so they're saying, yeah, they're going to bring their drug forward and they've secured some financing. The stock is really strong today. I don't know. With that financing as well, you know, it does give me a little cause for concern, especially we're already in warrant territory. You know, they're exercisable at 10. That being said, it's done really good volume. It's not like a huge financing offer in terms of shares. So I am a bit mixed on that. I'm a bit mixed on it, but that's okay. SC13G. I'm not going to chase it, you know? I mean, it is in gap fill territory. I'm not going to chase it. For me, the only play on this guy would be maybe like a dip to 10 tomorrow morning. Like a weak open red-green kind of move and then fill the gap if it's going to, if they're going to let it. Maybe to 14 to keep it realistic. 14, 16, 20. Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm not going to play it today. I don't want to chase it. It is the first green day, but I could see this thing cracking pretty hard in the morning and then going red-green, which we've seen, which is something like we saw on SSLJ. I could see this cracking end of day even possibly. You know, I mean, it is in gap fill territory, so there shouldn't be too much resistance, but it also may be up a little bit too much today. So we'll see. I'm not sure. If I'm not sure, I'm not really planning on playing it yet. Timing's kind of everything, you know. It's when it comes to these trades, it's like time of day is super important. So as you guys have questions, just shoot them out so we can kind of keep it seamless and not have too many waiting periods of time. I'm just kind of rambling right now. I hope you don't mind. But the decision-making process on PTGX for me is similar to what we saw in SSLJ, where it's a possible gap fill. But I want to know what caused that to gap down. And the cause of that was obviously, you know, this is similar to SSLJ, where now they're saying, okay, no, we're going to go through with phase 2 now. We're going to try to at least. So SSLJ, you know, CEO had to resign, whatever it is, it dropped. Now they're saying they're going to find a new one. He has nothing to do with the company, and it filled the gap. So this may be another scenario like that. It interests me for sure. It's just a matter of being patient. You know, in terms of the whole scope of this move, the fact that they also have a, you know, looming finance and looming warrants at $10 does bother me a little bit. So that's why I'm not like gung-ho on this setup and trying to get in on a dip and a close, if that makes sense. Yeah, and PTGX is easy to borrow pretty much everywhere. So it's, you know, it's one of those things that I'm not going to touch it for now. I think maybe a weak open red-green tomorrow would be the only move for me. If it holds 10, which is important. You know, 10's very important on this daily chart. You can see that. So those are my takes on CHKE, PTGX. PTGX I kind of like, but I might just wait for tomorrow. CHKE I don't like. It's going to have to surprise me, you know, tomorrow and the next day, or they're going to have a new PR out. Anytime a PR comes out, it changes the game. So okay. So PTGX, undecided. I don't really like it, and I like it. So, you know, if that's the kind of dialogue I'm having with myself, then I'll probably just leave it alone. Not a big deal. I mean, it could go to 20 tomorrow. I was wrong, and that's okay. But as for now, my only plan would be like dip buy at 10 tomorrow. And then cut quickly if it fails, you know, that kind of thing. There's just not too much else to go off of once we've gotten into this gap up territory. Where's my 30-minute chart? You know, it's just one of those things. There's not going to be too many levels setting up other than the ones on the daily chart. So we'll see how this holds up. If it sets up a level for me tomorrow, then I may consider it. 1050 even, possibly, dip buy. Yeah, it's kind of a tough call. And like I said, if I'm a little bit apprehensive, then I'm probably not going to trade it. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. And we'll see what happened this afternoon. I'm not going to rush into it with an hour and a half left, you know, when it's up here. We saw SSLJ get into gap up territory and then just pull hard at end of day, so. So CHKE going the next leg down here. Like I said, dead fish. And Himini, it's one of those things. You know, it's just, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just not gonna touch it. I'll miss whatever's happening here. I don't care. I have no edge here. I have no clue what's going on. This could easily go to 5 cents. They could easily drop a PR after hours that could crush it, or do their reverse split, or whatever they're going to be doing. I don't want to be caught up in that. So Himini I'll leave alone. Leave it to the gamblers. It's not a long or short, really. I mean, it's eventually a short, but it's so low now. It's like one of those things. BLNK. I don't know the reason for that. Oh, yeah, I don't really know the reason for this 2-day bounce that it's had, other than it's bouncing. Maybe at kind of this support level from back here or something with no volume. I don't know. Nice little 2-day bounce, just not going to play it. No clue what's going on here. Maybe like a long-term trend change or something. You know, kind of had that thing going on and now it's broken out over that. I don't know. I don't really care. So BLNK no-go for me, especially it's day 2 on a bounce. Like, no thank you. Dom said can't find any reason for it to be up. Would love for it to go one more green day for short. Totally, 100%. Like, I might even short this if it were to go another day. Which I'm officially going to start shorting again here. The DVD is basically done, so I don't have to worry about, I don't know. I'm going to start kind of getting into both mind frames and try to take both sides of moves. And I'm good at shorting. I just haven't been doing it, so. BLNK, yeah, nothing for me. Possible short. CHKE, same thing. Don't really care about it. Himini, don't care about it. PTGX is the only one that's still like sitting in my radar for the most part. I see nothing on the rest of my scans that, you know, make me feel good. And said seeking alpha article on a rumor BLNK. Oh, okay. So there is something there. Rumor, no thank you. Like, especially long. Rumors are the worst. They are not good catalysts. I mean, they can move a stock quickly, shortly, on the short term, but, you know, it just doesn't work out usually. I've bought rumors before. It doesn't work out. So David said, would I say playing midday kind of setups depends on market conditions, AMMA? Yeah, I do. And that being said, like, dude, any of my YouTube videos were from, I don't know, I haven't done one in like 8 months or something like that. And I've learned a lot, like in the last 8 months even, about myself and about trading, to the point where I might take a couple of those videos down because I don't find them to be as reliable as it seems. Like, that's just an example of recognizing when volume's perking up and trying to get in early on a move. But that being said, yes, other market conditions, it gets stuffed and dies, you have to cut your loss. Particularly right now, like midday's not working. I used to trade midday a lot more. But my win ratio, like I was able to cut them quickly because I was getting in, on like near low a day. And I would cut no matter what when low a day broke. So like I think I was only winning like 60% of my trades through January of this year. And this year has been a much better win ratio. I've been trading less. And a lot of that's due to not trading midday. So plays like AMMA, where I got a sweet midday perk and spike, like I find that the odds of that happening to be very small for the most part. Sometimes you'll get the midday consolidation and break over highs, great. But I find that being a little bit patient now keeps me from the ones that don't work. If something is strong and something in the price action tells me differently, then I can try to get in on a dip anyways. So AMMA was an awesome trade, but I just feel like in terms of the odds of that play, they're not the highest. At any time they can get stuffed when these plays have a high day that's set. I forget the statistic, I'll look it up, but I think majority of stocks that trade, or any equity for the most part that has normal trading hours, peaks out in the first 10 or 15 minutes. So like usually, like if a stock spikes in the morning, on average, it's not going to usually break that spike. Or if it drops in the morning, like, a huge dip in the morning, that generally will hold as low a day rest of the day. There are statistics on that. So yeah. So if that makes sense, a lot of my old YouTube stuff is good, but I feel like I've evolved and found better odds plays over this year, like over the span of this year. Yeah, plain and simple. A lot of those plays, I'm not taking those anymore. And it's partially because, market conditions are different. This year, actually, if you think about it, like it's August. July was super slow. January was okay because it was the end of the Bitcoin thing. But February, March, and into April were really slow. So about half of this year or more, in my opinion, has been a slow market for us. Granted, we still have several months left to tilt those scales. That's just how I feel. There hasn't been as many I think last year was a bit hotter in terms of, days hot and days not. So things are different this year than last year, and things will be different tomorrow than today, possibly. You never know. So what I'm doing right now is biding my time and waiting for things to heat up before I get really aggressive. And then I try to make my exponential gains during those periods of time and not during these periods of time, Yeah, I'll miss the one-off Himini, like 100% runner today. CHKE actually was a good runner today. This morning, had a sweet run this morning. But you had to, catch one of these dips in the morning on CHKE. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, absolutely. Like if I see midday perks working, then I'll start playing them. But when they're not working, which is most of the time, especially recently, I'm not doing it. Tom just got trade 0. I did too, actually. I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Mike asked a question too. Hold on. My messages. So Mike asked, when we use a stop or set our risk, what should we be using, the bid or the ask? That's a good question. And it's not something it's not even something I've done. Like generally for the most part, if I set a stop because I can't watch it, I'm setting like, a market stop, just like a regular stop. So it's gonna hit one or the other. unless it's super, super volatile, then I'm not going to the bathroom. You know what I mean? That's one thing I'll say. If it's like well, I won't even say CVSI because it's an OTC, but say it's like your run-of-the-mill NASDAQ and it's got like a 20 million float and moves with a really tight spread slowly, then yeah, I can set just a regular stop, okay? That's the only time I'll do that. If I'm trading like an OTC or something, you know, a low float that's illiquid and whatever the case may be, I'm watching it, you know? I'll never just step away from that trade, or I'll just take that trade off the table, which is important. It's just like anything. Like what I find every facet of trading is you have to have A, B, and C plans and kind of like be taking the big picture into account. So like with stops, it's not like one stop that you set in any given circumstances. It would have to be, for me, a low float means I'm not moving. I'm not going to be setting a stop. You know, there aren't many exceptions to that rule for me. But like I said, slower moving stock, yeah, I'll just set a regular stop and let it go. You know, it's one of those things. Mike said, can't wait for the DVD. Yeah, it's going to be sweet. Like, I'm really excited about it. I mean, the production value is going to be good, so it's not going to be all cornball. Like, you know, I mean, people are paying, you know, you buy a regular Blu-ray disc from the store, you know, millions and millions of dollars of production value, and you're paying 15 bucks. I feel like it's kind of an injustice if there's not good production value. So it's going to look sweet, and then there's just so much information that's packed into it. And like I was saying earlier, it's not like here's the patterns, you know, like go trade them. It's not even so much about patterns, this DVD. Like anyone can Google patterns, you know, you can read books on patterns. Patterns are like, you know, so simple. It's not even funny. Granted, it's not everyone can play them, but that's because of everything else that goes into a trade, you know, not just a pattern in a chart and you can trade it. So, I mean, Grattani did it successfully, but all he was doing basically is shorting major levels of resistance on the chart, which is a no-brainer, you know, and he's good at it. So, okay. So if that makes sense on stops, Mike, it's not an exact science. It's more, and the bid and ask, I see what you're saying. So you're saying like if you're risking 8 cents on Himini, am I going to risk it to where the ask is 8 cents and I'm hitting the ask? Or am I going to put my stop at the bid? Is that what you're asking? Okay. Yeah, so for me, that's not where it's an exact science. Like if I'm trading a low float that could collapse or like any sort of scenario where the slippage could get too great, I'm super careful at these levels. Like this is not a good example, but say it was a low float. You know, if 8 was my level here, the only thing that would keep me in this trade a little bit longer is this bottoming out action at 7. That's it. If that wasn't here, like I would be cutting at 8 the second I saw it. Like for the most part, I'm not gonna really. It's just a tough call, you know. Like if this were a low float, I would probably just take the bid right out if I needed to. You know, if my size was a bit large or something like that. And if I'm wrong and it goes the other way, that's fine. You know, at least I protected myself. If it's a little bit slower moving, yeah, I'll give it a little bit of wiggle room, like a tiny bit of wiggle room, just in case, you know, it's like a short trap or something like that. But that's it. David asks, is it Davide? Debit day? I'll get it. It's online. It's all going to be online. Ben asked if I were to play CHKE this morning, what would I look for? How would I play it? So, like, such a tough question because I wasn't there this morning and I wasn't playing it. So I have no clue. Like, that's the truth. Like, I could say maybe a VWAP hold this morning or something, or like this pull or that pull, but I probably, to be honest, wouldn't have played it. So I don't want to give you bad info. I have no clue what the price action was like this morning. And that's all that really matters. And we're going to, like, in the future, we're going to get into price action, which is a whole nother beast, you know? I mean, you have the daily chart, the catalyst, the overall markets, the penny stock markets, the sector, you know, the daily chart setup, the intraday chart setup. And then on top of that, you have price action itself that's governing all of that. So it's like, it's the result of everything, you know, that we speak about all the time, like taking all these different factors into consideration in your trade, and it creates this price action. And that's like, you know, something else altogether. So like in the future, yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of level 2. We're going to be doing a lot of other stuff. So, but I figure we'll take it slow, just kind of like get into the main process, which for me, like the meat is the process itself. And then, you know, and then you get to develop the skill of like reading price action, like, which you're doing anyways by trading. So like you'll start to get a feel anyways. A lot of you already have a feel for price action. But then it's just a matter of like putting it all together, you know, price action, and then the whole trade process all together quickly. And then once you're in a trade, that's when it's like, okay, price action, what's price action doing? Because that's all that matters. You know, we'll be watching like for soaking and stuff like that. Be watching for people trying to fill on the, you know, maybe fill on the bid and trying to hold it down on the ask kind of thing. So, you know, that kind of stuff we'll get into in the future. And when I see it, and we'll have level 2 up, and we'll be able to slow it down even and like go through it. It'll be cool. Next couple weeks, but one thing at a time. This week we're going to try to kind of get into filings a little bit more. All right, we're calling you David. Sweet. No problem, Ben. David said he couldn't find a good risk on CHKE this morning. That's because it wasn't. Like, and I get that. Like a chart like this, it's really tough. I mean, the levels aren't really setting up properly. So I don't know. You know, it was pretty illiquid. Like this whole pre-market spike, it was doing decent volume, but I mean, this is why I hate pre-market, and I haven't traded it in a long, long time. I've traded pre-market and after hours like 3 times this year. No shit. Because I don't like it. I've cut it out. So like from last year, I was pretty friggin' nuts. Like when Himini was dropping last year, I was like dip buying after hours and doing weird shit like that. And that's so risky. Like I got lucky on some trade. I mean, it's not just luck, obviously, but it was risky, like super risky. And I'm trying to avoid those super risky trades, because you can find that kind of reward anyways without being that risky. You know, you just have to be super patient for that and then capitalize when the time's right. That's it. Yeah, and that's so David, that's like the right attitude in my opinion. If you couldn't find a good risk, then why are you taking the trade? The only trade would be like maybe momentum, like try to kind of get this high day, and then if it goes against you or maybe breaks down below VWAP, just take the trade off. So like this would be a scenario where, yeah, had I been trading this morning, there are no really good levels to risk off of. The only levels that you can really, you know, the only palpable levels are like the resistance levels, and that's never a good thing. So it's going to be closing at its lows, you know. It's not good. And then Himini, I mean, I was watching Himini earlier, and like all this action where there's buying, just like huge sellers, like 500,000 share sellers at every level, just guiding the stock down. It's pretty crazy. So I'm not about it. We'll go back to PTGX. It's just, I don't feel like chasing it, you know? And that enough for me is enough to not trade it. And that's why I say maybe tomorrow, like if I got a sweet little panic in the morning, I might contemplate dip buying this, but I'm not going to buy it up here, even with consolidation and high day break at 1150. Then it'll, you know, then maybe I'll be watching in the morning for panic. That's it. That is it. So you guys can see, like, we're still in a slow market. I mean, there are some movers. Maybe there's a little bit of, you know, something going on, but for the most part, no. Like, I don't see anything that's really going to drive this market, like, go bananas. When I'm watching Himini, like, for a good portion of the afternoon, just because I'm bored, you know, the markets suck balls. So don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I want to trade. I want to be in trades. Like, if they're just not there, I'm not going to take them. It's just kind of crazy. Like, the longer you do this and see tickers come in and out of play and then just die, like, into, you know, go into the abyss, it just blows your mind. And you know, I feel like the longer you trade, as long as you're in the game and you start to realize these things and you start to let go of, like, FOMO a little bit, which is super important. You realize, man, this play is going to be dead in a day or two anyways. Like, none of these things really have any legs for days, so you got to catch your day one to the long side for the most part, day two max, and then bail out. Like, and yeah, I missed out on something like AWX, but that's a unicorn. Like, that's the one that you may catch if things set up properly. But with my rules that I like to trade by, I'm really not going to catch that. You know what I mean? It's that thing spiked huge on like day 5. And I'm not looking to play day 5. So it's like, it's just one of those things. But you get, like, I mean, we have so many former supernovas that are just sitting there, like, that I wonder about, like HTGM and IDXG. And, like, I don't know. It's just really funny how things set up. And maybe one day they do the reverse split, put their PR out, and then you'll remember. And you get to play it again. But it is crazy. So pretty freaking boring, guys. Really lame. We're going to do market open together tomorrow. We've been doing a lot of closes. So we'll be doing market open tomorrow. And we're just kind of flip the schedule a little bit. And then I'll have details for the boot camp that's in November for you guys here this week. And if you guys want to try to plan on coming down, you know, a week earlier, a week later, just let me know. Yeah, I mean, and then, you know, come down and we can do some trading together before or after the conference, either way, and or play some golf or whatever you guys want to do. And then next year, the plan is basically I'm going to be hitting like one major city a month, maybe 2 max, and doing like smaller boot camps. So it's gonna be if I'm in your area, like I'll be in New York at some point, I'll be in LA. Gonna do Vegas. If you guys all want to come to Vegas, that'd be fun. I'm gonna hit a lot of the major cities and then do boot camp. So you guys are welcome at any of those as well. John asks, where in Arizona am I? I'm in Phoenix, like right in the middle of Phoenix. So, and you're not too far, Colorado, I think. Jesse asked, did I see WMLP? Yeah, let's talk about WMLP. I meant to, because I got a buddy who got stuck in this. God, this makes me glad I wasn't trading on Friday. Granted, after going from 550 to 3, I would have kind of struggled with this. I probably wouldn't have ended up buying it even, with this kind of 440 support or resistance intact there. But it closed really strong. Just, I know it got halted and everyone got fucked on it, and that sucks. Stuff like this is just stuff that happens. I can't believe that, it was kind of a very crazy scenario. And Jesse shorted it. When did you short it, Jesse? 490 to 2. Sweet. That's awesome, man. So you caught some in the morning, I'm guessing? Well, obviously. But where are you catching it? Like in here? Pre-market. God damn. So did you have to sit through some pain, or you were shorting it into open after it had already topped out at 575? Bunch of entries. Nice, dude. Either way. That was a huge gainer pre-market. So this was just an unfortunate scenario if you were long, and awesome if you were short, But when a stock pulls this hard, 575 back to, basically 285, I'm ignoring it anyways. So I probably wouldn't have been caught up in this. I wouldn't have been buying any of this. If anything, I would have been trying to catch like a quick bounce and been out before close. I just, it's one of those things. So we got an hour left now. Yeah, no, I don't see much. I don't see much to play. I don't see anything, to be honest. Like, there's not one place that I would take my money and put it right now. So webinar may end a little bit earlier today. It's because I don't see anything in play. Like, if something comes in play, then we can talk in the chat, but... So let's get into watch list making. How about that? Let me see. 1 second. Okay. Sorry, 1 sec. All right, we're actually gonna have to do watch list making tomorrow because I have to. My watch list files are on my other computer, my laptop, and I have to link them to the streaming service and stuff. So, but in a nutshell, like when it comes to watch list building, I used to do it way more religiously. And once I start getting into the short selling, I am going to get back onto it because I find it to be much more applicable for short selling. The whole watch list process, in my opinion, much more applicable to short selling because you're going to set up, try to find the day 2s and 3s to hit, and yeah, it's one of those things that your plans will come to fruition more often. You'll be playing the plays that are on your watch list than not with short selling. Long, it's like a new play every day for the most part if you're doing the right thing. So if you're trying to catch day 1s, like if you're long, your goal is to catch day 1s. And for me, that means it's not going to be on my watch list from the night before. So that's where it's kind of tricky. Like, yeah, you want to keep a watch list. You want to keep watching stocks like AWX. You keep watching it as they move. And for me, that pretty much comes down to put it on a watch list, and have a watch list. The plans themselves, like, so for tomorrow, like if we're looking at PTGX, for example, I've already kind of told you what my plan is. So in my head, I already know, okay, I'm going to watch PTGX in the morning. If I get a dip down to 1050 or 10 and see something in the price action that I like, some sort of reversal, then I'll try to get in on it. It's that simple. But I'm not sure that I'm going to do that. I'm going to kind of be nimble at the time. And that's so all I'm doing is at the end of the day, I'm going through my tickers. I'm seeing the biggest gainers that did volume, that had news, like whatever else it is, and seeing if I can't get a dip buy in the morning. Usually, on the day 2, a lot of times you'll get a dip buy and a pressive day high from the day before, and that's it. Or a red-green move. So that's all I'm doing is going through my tickers, and we will do it, like tomorrow. We'll do a full watch list when market closes or something like that. We'll get back together and do a watch list together. But man, after you've done this for a while, like, and some of you can attest to that, but like my watch list is in my head. Like I make watch lists. I do go through tickers at the end of the day. But for the most part, it's in my head. Like I'll have it on a watch list, the tickers I'm watching, and I've already come up with the plan in my head. It's kind of cool. Like the process automates itself a little bit, and the only thing that you really have to make sure is that the process is a good one. But we'll do detailed watch lists, no problem. And I think especially like early on, it's super. I know for myself. From the day I went from not making watch lists to making watch lists, I became a much better trader. Now that process is pretty much automated in my head, but to get that process down and to come up with plans and then see them come to fruition or fail over and over again, and then eliminate the ones that fail more often than not and continue with the ones that work was huge for me. And it's not just, excuse me, excuse me. It's not just like having the plan, but it just makes you go through tickers and it makes you go through filings in your off time. And you do it enough, it's going to reinforce certain things. So like I said, watch list making, it can be transformational. And so we will get into exactly how I make watch lists. But a lot of the time it is in my head now. So I'm not necessarily even making a watch list every day. I don't have to. Like Tim has to make a watch list for his subscribers. It's part of his thing, people pay for that. But for me, I don't even find it to be necessary. Like I have a watch list that's in my head. I know what stocks are in play and which ones aren't. And then usually I'm playing a new stock anyway, every day, something that didn't set up yesterday. I like when I can make plans and work them, but like I said, to the long side, it's a different game, man. It's a different game. So like, yes, good to have plans for sure. Most of the time won't come to fruition. Whereas short selling, you're looking at major levels of resistance and you're playing those, and so you can come up with plans to size in on those levels. And of course, sometimes they don't work out, sometimes they work out, but I will say, like, if you haven't done watch lists, you got to do them. It'll help you so much be prepared. And even if only once or twice a week or even a month your watch list plans work out, it can work out for you really well. So congrats on WMLP, Jesse. That's sweet. Any more questions, guys? We're gonna wrap up a little bit early. I'll make sure that we're ready to do watch list tomorrow, and we'll get into some real filings hopefully. And just like for your guys' information in terms of like the order in which I do things, like obviously scan, ticker hits my scan, okay, pull the scan up on the chart. So if it's CHKE, whatever it is, hits my scan up on the chart. Okay, first thing I'm doing, give it a glance, see what the daily looks like. Pretty much here, like for me, obviously the daily chart, the intraday chart, I'm ignoring it. Okay, but if this were this morning, the process would be, all right, check the daily chart out, resistance, I don't like it, so that's a kind of a negative tick. You know, here's a con in this trade already right off the bat. For me, if the first steps fail, that's usually not a good thing. So like, why am I going to look into the filings on a chart that I don't care about, you know? So, you know, the daily chart is still one of the most important things and the first thing I look at. Then I'm looking at the news, okay? So I look at the chart, I do look at the news because a PR can trump chart any day of the week. You know, that's what happens. A really good PR brings volume in, trumps chart, you get big volume and things can happen. In terms of PTGX, okay, they're doing this. They're going to get back into this clinical. We already went through the filings, saw what dropped this chart in the first place. But simultaneously, they secure a $22 million equity financing. So they're doing an offering and they had a PR. So like that combined with the chart, you know, this leads me to a no trade. Okay, and that's kind of the process. So like filings wise, I don't get into the filings half the time because I don't need to. And then if it's a chart that I am going to play long, you know, about 75% of the time I do have to look at the filings. Maybe even more. Like sometimes I'll get into a trade if it's kind of winning and I've taken profits and it's kind of consolidating. I'll look into the filings anyways just to make sure. But that's kind of how it goes. That's kind of how the process is. You know, the daily chart's still super important. Then I'm looking at catalyst. Okay, can the catalyst move it? PTGX's case. Sorry, we were looking at CHKE. I totally just cross-referenced these. PTGX's case, okay, daily chart, gap up, whatever. So we'll say CHKE. I didn't look at the filings. This one, I did look at the filings. I want to see what's going on here. I do want to see what's going on with their financing. And this kind of led me to like, okay, maybe I'll buy a dip tomorrow. But that's it. So that I was a little all over the place there, but you know, I'm just trying to let you guys know the process, which is like scan, hits your scan, okay, now you got to go through your process. And your process will be different than mine, you know, no doubt, but you do have to make sure you have a process and you have to make sure that your process is sound and that you're covering as many bases as possible. I know it's a biotech. I know funny things happen with biotechs. You know, it's just like biotechs haven't necessarily been running. So that doesn't give me the, you know, all warm and fuzzy, you know, I don't feel great about this. I mean, it's just one of those things. Yeah. So it's all about the process, man. Like, if your process is sound enough to where you're talking yourself out of trades you shouldn't be taking and you're not chasing and you're doing certain things, then you have an edge over, like, in my opinion, over 50% of traders. Don't even get that far to where they're refining their process and their thought process going into a trade. They're just looking at intraday charts, the daily chart, and then trading. Like, they have no clue what it is, you know, that can make this move or not. Nice trend. Really nice trend on PGNX, but PTGX, but I'm not going to play it. Intraday trend alone is not good enough for me to take a trade. And you guys should all know that by now. Like intraday, 1 day of trending is not good enough for me. Pros, PTGX, gap fill, okay? That is possible. Now there is a financing in place with warrants at 10, so maybe they stuff it. Who knows? Yeah, it's just tough. Tough for me. Like if I have, like I said, if I'm having a dialogue that's mixed, then I really am not going to play it. And that keeps me safe. PTGX cracked that trend line twice. Thoughts? Yeah, trend line, like I said, not enough for me to short or go long necessarily. It's just 1 day trend. My other issue is it is like say I'm looking at a short sell on this. It is consolidating near its day high with a gap fill. So like if I'm looking at it short, okay, warrants at 10, financing in place, but the news is good, and the gap is big, you know. So like, and the float medium, not a tiny float. So like, but this thing has proven it can move today. You know, so I would be wary just short selling this in this territory. Long, I'm still wary, you know, because of the financing. So it's like, and like I said, so it's one of those 50-50 kind of deals to me. And at this point, I don't see any edge for me. You know, if you find some sort of edge, then awesome. And if it works out, then awesome. But for me, I don't see why I should put my money here yet. Other than like a significant panic dip buy and then sell into the bounce. But that's it. Zach asked, close tomorrow? Yes. No, I'm sorry. Tomorrow is going to be market open since we did close today. Jesse asked if financing is good for me. No, financing is bad for me. Any dilution for me is bad. Now, sometimes, particularly with biotechs, in my experience, you'll see a biotech do a financing, and as long as it's not like half price financing, these things can move. Like, so for example, in this case of PTGX, like they did a financing with warrants at 10. All the details still aren't out yet on this, I don't think. Let's see. So 2.75 million shares for gross proceeds of 22 million. Okay, so there you got an offering at basically $8 a share. You know, it wasn't $5 a share. You know, it may have reacted differently without $5 a share, but they had it at $8 a share, and I don't know, and they put good news out. So offerings can be bad, but they don't have to crush a stock. You know what I mean? For me, it just does bother me the fact that I could be diluted on like intraday. You know, he means like today's PTGX financing. No, I don't see it as a positive necessarily. The only thing I see as a positive in the financing is that they didn't get $5 a share. You know, they did do the financing at $8 a share, and warrants at 10. But now, like I said, we're in warrant territory. So you know, I think this will give back a lot of its gains. I don't think it's going to be like a slam dunk back down to $6 kind of thing. You know. I think eventually, you know, $7.50, $8 should hold if this were to collapse. But I could be wrong. I don't know. You know, I don't know what they're going to do with the financing in place. I don't know what they're going to do with the warrants. I mean, I know what they're going to do. They're going to dump them eventually. But you don't know when or how or, you know, and at what frequency, and like, you know, they could be smart about it, which I've seen at times, and they kind of do it slowly into strength. Sometimes they do it in a consolidation over the span of months. Like, you know, you never know. So you still have to be careful short selling these. Like we see a lot of stocks with financings in place that squeeze the shit out of people. So for me, it's not, I don't want to go long. I don't want to short it. You know, if this were to really get going tomorrow, maybe things may change. But for now, that's my take. I mean, it's also, you know, it's also not a huge amount of shares. I mean, it is a good amount. It is quite a bit of dilution on this float, but you know, like 25% or something. But still, it's, I mean, it's not 30 million shares, you know, or 10 million even. Well, I guess including the warrants, it's more, but like I said, you don't know. You don't know what they're going to do and when. So it's a guessing game. But we are in gap fill territory. So like best case scenario for a short seller, in my opinion, would be this thing goes parabolic tomorrow and fills the gap. Do I see it happening? No, but it could. So you got to be prepared for that scenario if you're short selling. Just like SSLJ last week, you know, it looked like completely dead, like the kind of thing where if it went red green, you can short that kind of move, but instead it filled the gap. So you got to be careful. Hymany. So now 8's cracked. The last line of defense is 7 cents, 7.073 or whatever, and it's just freaking dead to me. I'm glad, you know, this is a piece of shit. Like, I missed I had one dip buy during one of these panic days after hours, but I missed everything on Himini, and I'm not going to just start here. I'm not going to start playing it here. Nice, BLNK, sweet. Squeeze through high day. I'm not touching it. Day 2, day 3. Well, whatever the rumor is, it has legs. Do you have any details on that rumor, Ann? I don't know if Ann's in here. Would I trade that double bottom at 425? Nope. We kind of spoke about this earlier. Like, this will set up for a good short eventually. I'm not going to chase it up here on day 2, going into day 3 of a bounce, especially. Still a ton of overhead resistance from this move. You know, this is the kind of move, in my opinion, where people are kind of might be holding and hoping, thinking that this is like, this company is going to, like, you know, go nuts eventually. But here's case in point, Jesse. Like, BLNK had warrants, I'm pretty sure, like in the 3s and 4s or something like that, maybe $5. And they let it run for a while, you know? They didn't just slam it right away. And you could have gotten squeezed pretty hard, like all the way up to $8 on this one. So David said, Blink up 18.5% to break out of a 2-month downtrend, which is what we were talking about. Here's that 2-month downtrend and clear break over it. Loose rumors running around trading circles on a partnership between the company and Tesla. Okay, so yeah, that's a loose. So like, nothing worse than a loose rumor. Like, there's rumors and then there's loose rumors, and rumors are bad. Loose rumors are worse. So, you know, that's enough for me here. The loose rumor. That being said, Tesla, if they were to partner with Tesla, obviously that's huge for this company. but it's a loose rumor, you know, so this thing could get slammed any time. Like, I'm not going to buy and hold this on a loose rumor. I remember a loose rumor that GSAT was going to sell, you know, their Spectrum to someone. GSAT. I don't know if you guys remember GSAT. It was one of these days. It was right back here. So this was back in December of last year. Or wasn't? Was it? It was. It might have been here. I forget when the news was. It might have been here. I think it was here. It's exactly when it was. And there was like rumors that GSAT was going to be selling their Spectrum or something like that. And now it's back at 50 cents. And you would have been waiting forever for some kind of acquisition news, which seems to be the case on like most of the rumors that I've played. Rumors are something that newbies get sucked into, like, for the most part, in my opinion. I won't consider it, no. You know, if they were to partner, I would buy this right away, like a lot of it, and probably swing it, because that would be such a great catalyst, you know. Now, if it was halted and like opened up at $10, you got to be careful, but still. If the news is good enough, there's plenty of time to play it after the news comes out. That's how I feel. So I'm not going to play the rumor. Now I'm sitting and holding. Like EXO, I played the rumor, you know, like, but it wasn't just a rumor. They had videos out with Ford, like, combined with each other. They were clear. They're already in talks. Like, it's a tangible thing. This is a loose rumor. So it could have legs, but it's okay. I don't play the rumor. It's something to keep an eye on. Any more questions for today, guys? Jesse said, here, earnings today. Nice. Oh, and Dom, dude, I'm so sorry, bro. I got you. I got your text. Take care of you. Here, earnings today. Let's see what here's doing. I'm sure it's still up in the stratospheres. Oh, God. $30. I'll watch earnings. That'll be fun. We'll see what happens. But that's pretty awesome. Pavel asked, would I buy PTGX if it breaks out over 1150? No. I mean, you could, but I mean, you mean breaks high day here? No. I mean, it is doing some good consolidation. Probably, you know, would work. Strong chart today. But this is the kind of thing I'm only looking for dips. I don't like the fact that they're in warrant territory, so I'm not going to chase this. PTGX, like I said, will only be kind of like a weak open red-green type trade for me. I need to get my risk reward intact, I mean. So like I'd buy something towards 10 tomorrow, risking 10, and then cut it if it doesn't work. I won't get cute with something like PTGX. So recap, we'll do a quick recap. PTGX, dip buy for me tomorrow, possibly. Nothing more. I like some things, I don't like some things. CHKE, dead fish. It's a dead old fish, belly up, rotting carcass. You can't even salvage any of it and eat it. So yeah, CHKE, that's how I feel about that for now. Of course, things can change. You know, some sorcerer may wake some life into this, I don't know. CHKE dead, PTGX dip buy possibly in the morning, BLNK possible short tomorrow. But there is a, Tesla, I wouldn't mess around. I mean, this thing could, if it gets more legs with that kind of news, could squeeze more people than anticipated, only because it's going to be a crowded short tomorrow. So we'll see how it reacts. I don't, I'm not going to be trading it. But, funny things have happened. AWX was really funky. Like, funny things can happen. That being said, float's bigger on this. This isn't something I'm playing long. But nice 2-day bounce. But like I said, Rimmer, not playing it. That's it. That's all that I have on my list. There's like TCCO, but that's just ugly ass intraday chart that I won't play. Just super liquid, won't touch it. MRAM had some news come out. Closing strong, pretty illiquid. It's traded 835,000 shares today. Working on kind of a breakup, but you can see it's not the most volatile stock. Like, this thing doesn't really. That being said, it is setting up. I mean, it did break out over the $10 range. Just not too much volume. I don't know. Yeah, I won't play it. Too illiquid. BLNK could get interesting. I mean, I think there's obviously some more legs in it. It's closing up by its highs, holding 470 now, but I don't care. That's it. There's nothing else for me. So everyone be safe, man. Things are slow still. We'll do a market open tomorrow, and I'm just praying for some kind of heat so I can take a damn trade. I'm sick of sitting here not trading. But I'm not going to force it. So everyone have a good one. We're going to stop this a little bit short. I don't see anything worth messing with. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow speeds up. So we'll catch you guys mañana. I'm proud of everyone for sitting on their hands. You shouldn't really be trading too actively right now. All of you who are sitting on your hands right now are doing the right thing. Wait till it speeds up, and then we get to hit shit hard, right? So we'll catch you in the morning. I'll be in the chat this afternoon anyway, so have a good one, guys.